loud, so it doesn't take as much memory. And now, without further ado, Ms. Sylvia.
Jayme, I'm sorry if I could interrupt for 1 minute. I noticed that the consent to be recorded, I couldn't find it in settings. Could you stay on after and show me how you did that? If you wouldn't mind?
Not at all.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't want to.
Okay, well, what we really want you to do is be comfortable in our Zoom classroom. So we're going to share with you a few issues that could possibly come and some solutions. So there's a lag time between the sharing of a slide and you're seeing it. So just put in the chat if you need us to slow down. You might get booted off Zoom. Sorry about that. Just use the link that you have in your email and that'll put you back in. Sometimes you can't hear us. Check your audio controls and headset, and then go back out and come in again. It's just like the turn off your computer, turn it on again. It's the same thing with Zoom. And if you get a lot of distracting notifications on your computer or however you're viewing it, just view the session on full screen.
And this is the tricky part for me because I have to stop annotating. Otherwise, it just keeps annotating. Oh, see? Just keeps annotating everything. So
namaste.
Exactly. So let's just clear all.
Those are good points for our students as well. Thank you for that. That'll be good to, when I get my students on Zoom, to go over that with them.
Oh, I'm glad you feel that way. Yeah, I think we really want that to be part of it. Sorry, Sylvia, keep going.
No, I'm glad to hear that. And if you have a problem accessing a tool or doing a task, feel free to let us know in the chat. We'll try to resolve it. But if not, just treat this as a demo. And our plan is just to help you as much as we can. But the goal of this workshop is not how to use Zoom, but how to teach listening in Zoom.
Exactly. And we're having a number of people join us as we're talking. So welcome to those of you that have joined that we haven't greeted. We have everybody on mute at the moment, but we're going to have plenty of conversations and opportunities for people to talk. Based on the people who completed the form, the majority of you have some experience with Zoom, but there are still a few of you that don't. So what I'm going to do is show our key tools that we're going to use today. But I want to really remind you that we need to provide a lot of time when we're using any online platform. We need to provide a lot of time with housekeeping for our learners. So this is the first thing that I want to share. And you're just looking at my screen versus your view of this. This is my daughter, and she's in speaker view right now in this view. And I really want everybody to be seen. So I'm going to click on gallery view. And when I click on gallery view, which is in the upper right-hand corner, that's going to get me to a view of all of the people in the screen, on the screen, or more than as many as possible. And if I want to switch back to seeing one person talk, the one main person who's talking and the rest of us in tiny pictures up at the top, then I'm going to click on speaker view and that brings me back. So it's not intuitive for learners because it looks like when we are in this view and it says gallery view, that would be the name of it. So that can be a trick. It certainly was for me, and I'm pretty good at English. Then in terms of learners get very distracted, we can get very distracted. I've turned off my mail notifications and my messaging notifications on my computer. One of the other ways to help learners not get distracted, or for us not to get distracted, is to make use of the full screen. So if you want full screen, that would be that you would click on the upper right corner for that symbol. And it's good to show learners this symbology because it's consistent throughout platforms. And then by the same token, if I want to get out, and this is a newbie, if I want to get out of the full screen, I can double click on my screen or I can click the exit. And that's something that students might not know right away. So I'm just going to have you take a moment. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to have you practice for a moment the different views. I'll just give you 30 seconds, 15 seconds or so to do that. So just play around, look at the top of your screen, you'll see speaker, you'll see gallery, try going to full.
Just a note, Jayme,
Yeah.
I'm on my iPad and it's on the top left part of my screen.
Thank you very much.
Is this going to be the same with with phones? If they get on with an iPhone or a smartphone?
If they get on with an iPhone, it is going to be different, which is one of the reasons there is a tutorial on using phones versus using the iPad or the screen. So I put that link in the email last night.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, and if you can too, if you are able to, if the students are on their phone and they're going to watch what you do on your phone, that's going to be very helpful. And you'd want to put yourself in speaker view so that the student is seeing that. I know that when I have only 4 people, I can see them on my phone. But I haven't never had 20 on my phone. Okay, would you go to the participant list, which is, I have to do my annotation. It's so tricky to do the annotation. Okay, it's in your toolbar. You can see participants. And in there, I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you're going to see something that looks like this with a whole list of responses that you can give. So if you would, go to the participant section and give me a response that you would like to give at this moment. So I'm looking to see, oh, I see that Carolyn has said yes. And Babs has her hand raised. And Ibru has her hand raised. Okay, so I see that you know what you're doing. This is a great way to poll students quickly, but you do have to show them there. Well, hello there, Mr. Dave. Lori and Sylvia, notice Dave's position. We can come on that later in active listening.
I don't see Dave's position.
Oh, you have to scroll to see it. Welcome, Dave. Okay, I have to go back to sharing now, so we're all going to get tiny again.
Ah, I get
it. Yeah. Okay, the next and last tool that I want to talk about with you, which I think you'll find very helpful, is about chatting publicly and privately. So at the bottom of your screen, you see a dialogue balloon that doesn't happen to be on this. Oh yeah, there it is. That's what I want to annotate. Sorry. It is a little bit like chewing gum and talking at the same time. Okay, so you want to click on your chat button, and you really do want your learners to be aware of the chat, because the chat is a great way for them to communicate. So as you can see from this PowerPoint slide, I've asked everyone, how was their weekend? And Lana and Miguel have responded. And that's not unusual that I would get just 2 responses. But now I know that when I get people in pairs, they're more likely to talk to each other. So I say to everybody, I write this down in the chat and I say it. Let's pair up, write down your partner's name when you hear it. So I tell who's pairing up with whom. And then Miguel is paired up with Lana, and he's going to type Lana's going to type a message to him. And you can see that this is what it looks like on the phone. So this is Miguel's phone. And he's seeing that Lana is asked only okay, why? And then Miguel, because he feels more comfortable in a private chat, is saying that his brother can't come to visit because of Corona. And it's giving them an opportunity to have a conversation. So this is a great way, this is a tip to use the private chat for pair work. And now, without further ado, I'm turning it over to Lori.
So now we're going to use the tip that Jayme just gave you to do this activity. And I'm going to give you directions first. So please don't start doing it until I give you the directions, okay? And I'm going to use my train whistle that you may have heard if you've been in my presentations before, to signal both coming in and going out of the activity. So here are the directions. You and a partner are going to use private chat to show what you think is good, not so good, or interesting about teaching online these days in these very challenging and changing times that we're all experiencing.
And so on the slide, you can see that there's a list of partners, and those are some of the volunteers that we gathered by their response to the poll that we sent out. And volunteers, if you can't find your partner on the drop-down menu that Jayme showed you, then just choose anyone. And if your name is not on this partners list, then again, when you go to the drop-down menu next to everyone, and you'll find a person and go ahead and chat with them. It's okay if more than one person is chatting with another. So I think if there are no questions, I'm going to have you start. So again, you're going to chat with your partner and tell what's good, not so good, or interesting about teaching online these days. Go ahead and go. You have 2 minutes. I'm going to stop you right there. So I hope, since we couldn't see what you were doing in your chat, although I did chat with a few of you, I hope you got a chance to do it. And let me know in the chat if you had some problems. So with a tip we wanted to show you with this is that to make a partner list ahead of time. So when you're in your class, you'll know who your students are, so you can make a partner list. And we think this is a good thing to do, so people can, you can have them work and set up your groups or pairs differently than they might just their own selection. So that would be a random choice for them. And then another way to do it would be to just call out the name. So this would be a listening activity for your students, is to say, Ken and Sylvia are partners. So they would have to listen and then find their partner on the drop-down menu. So that you could do it as a listening activity. And again, that would depend on how many students you have in your class. For this kind of activity, be sure to set a time limit and keep to it so students know what they're doing, like any classroom activity you would do. And then quiet signal of your choice. Jayme often uses a harmonica. I have this train whistle. So to bring signal that you're starting the activity and bringing people back if you find that useful. Lori, we have a
Where do you
question.
find that, the whistle?
Pardon me?
Where do you find that, the whistle?
Toy store. Toy store or
Oh, I
to
thought
a
it was
train-
on Zoom.
a
Okay.
train place. We had a question from Ebru. Okay.
Yes, that's right. So how do you assign students to groups or a pair? How do you do? Can you show us how you did what you just did?
So
I just made a list. I knew who my students were going to be. We had volunteers, and so I knew who they were going to be. So I just put up a list there on my slide. I could call it out from the participants list when I opened up the participants list. If you look at your either bottom or top toolbar, you'll see a participants list. I could have called them out from there. Grouping, we're going to show you in a little bit, so I won't get into that now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I noticed, oh, Noelle, you have a question? You're stretching. You're stretching. Carmen, you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. When you blew the whistle, how did you get us? Oh, because we're all in chat, we could still hear you talking.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I think this is the difference between breakout and using the chat. So that's just something to be aware of from management. I noticed something great because I had a number of different people that were chatting to me. And if I clicked on the name in the chat, I got the chat to that person as opposed to having to do the drop-down menu. So that's a great plus for me because the drop-down menu takes a lot of time. Okay, I see a question from Betsy.
Sorry, thanks. I have a question. If someone doesn't respond, is it they're not here or?
You mean, in other words, you wrote to them and you didn't get a response?
I got a response from one person, no response from another. I guess if it were to happen to my students, they might be like, oh, maybe my computer's not working or my mobile or.
Yeah, I think that would be something. Lori, do you want to?
Yes, please. So they maybe aren't looking at the chat. So you would want to give a lesson or maybe show some more slides, go back to that. If you find out that happened, you might want to poll your students after the 2 minutes and find out and maybe help that person individually. In the breakout groups, that sometimes happen and sometimes people were on mute or weren't showing video. So you might see that later too. So I would just, again, we're in a new environment and we can't see it like we might in our classroom. So we'd just ameliorate it afterwards and say, if some of you didn't chat, please do so in the future or something like that. That maybe they walked away. It's hard to know what people are doing. But if they're on the drop-down list, they are in attendance, but they may not be looking at the chat for whatever reason.
And Lisa's pointing out in the chat that sometimes our students just aren't typing as quickly and it's taking them longer. So you're going to have to just kind of pace that with your students' abilities. Thank you, Lisa.
Another question, sorry. Once I do the private chats, I don't seem to be smart enough to go back to group. How do I?
So if you press on the down arrow again, the first item in the drop down is everyone. You have to go back
and chat.
So go to the chat, click on the arrow next to the name of the person you're chatting to privately, and click on the down arrow, and at the top of that drop down menu you'll see everyone. You have to click on that again to see everyone.
I'm not sure what down arrow you're referring. Next to the person.
Next to the person's name.
Oh, I see. There you go. I thought you just should be able to go back to got it. Thank you. Sorry.
And another possibility is if you scroll up your chat, you can click on everyone and it'll take you to everyone. You can click just on the blue of everyone.
Whenever you see everyone again.
Yeah. Any name in your chat that's in blue, you can click on and be taken to that person will be in your chat.
Nice. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, and I just want to mention, Janie says that the person might be paired with someone else too and aren't able to multitask. So maybe it's keeping them from doing two people at once.
Yeah, I had that issue. So
I want to apologize to Mai because she wrote me a lovely message, but I was so busy doing another one, I didn't respond to you.
Okay, Sylvia, on with our guiding principles.
Okay, so we're already talking about some of these things, and of course, you're going to have a plan, but it's important to set aside this kind of time to get your learner comfortable in the environment, as we've been doing with our housekeeping, with community building. You want to do that with your students because they're learning not just listening, but they're learning how to learn listening in a new environment. We also be a bit catastrophic. Things are going to go awry. That's technology. And you can just say, oh, the technology, and work through it. And you're modeling a tolerance for ambiguity, flexibility, problem solving, easier for some of us than others, but you want your students to know that they can have problems and you'll try to solve them. And I think most important, well, two most important things, have a workaround. You've decided to use a whiteboard, your whiteboard doesn't work, go right over to the chat. Have something so that when something doesn't work, oh, I've got another plan. My video's not working, okay, I'll read the script. And then this to me is just laugh and learn together like we hope to do in our presentation here and we hope you do with your students. I always tell my students we're all learners and we all learn together. And oh,
sorry.
okay. And we have, I see some of you taking pictures. You're going to get the slides. You're going to get all the videos you see, the worksheets. They're all up in a Google folder for you. And in that folder, we've also done this in conferences. So we're going to be bringing in other videos and materials for you. We have a bibliography with useful links. And we have a tip sheet, an ever-evolving tip sheet that you can add to and hopefully keep sharing with us. 2 tips. We use Bitly because we want to make our links shorter. And with Bitly, you can customize it too. So in this one, we could shorten listening resources and we could give the date. And that's really helpful when you're looking for things. And
could I add something to that, Sylvia?
Yes, please.
Just that if we put a name in there, it's easy for students to find worksheet 1, worksheet 2, and it's really good for language for them as opposed to seeing the link language.
How many of you have saved, thank you, Jayme, how many of you have saved this list of your favorite links and then you have no idea what they are because there's no way to tell what they're doing? And a final tip is that when you're doing a Word document, don't just embed the link, also copy a link beside it, because then your students can find it again when they're looking for the resource.
Or if it's on a Word document and they print it out.
Exactly.
And so I saw a couple of questions, and just to say that we'll put this link in the chat, but also you're welcome to share this link with your other colleagues as well. That was one of the questions.
Absolutely.
And also in the resources, we have a tip list. So all the tips we're giving you, we made up a list of tips, and we'd love you to add into the tips. Any ones we've left it open for you to add into. And it's a work in progress, so just know that it may not be as organized as you might want it at this point, but we have about 25 tips in there, so hopefully that will be of use to you. So here are the goals for our time together. We're going to confirm or expand the knowledge of effective practices in listening instruction for English language learners, and then demonstrate ways to adapt in-class listening instruction to the Zoom platform. We're hoping to connect.
Sorry, I was typing it. I didn't annotate. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're hoping to connect listening tasks to the listening strategies that all listeners need. And again, we'll provide tips and resources for online listening instruction, and you'll be getting those. And we have a set of resource pages, as well as some pages that we're using today that we're going to put you to. So now,
maybe I should show that. Would you like me to show that
you wish.
Page? Sure. Of course, it becomes a thing of where I have to clear all the drawings and I have to go to the mouse. So every time you annotate, you have to remember to go back to the mouse, or you annotate everything you were ever on. Okay. So hopefully you're seeing this right now. This is your listening resources, and the tips are right here.
What? Oh.
Are you not seeing it?
I
Oh,
don't.
you're not seeing
the
it?
slides.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I see the PowerPoint.
It's coming. It's coming. Just remember, laugh. Okay. So this is the folder that Lori was talking about, and these are the tips that you'll see coming up in a second, hopefully. Keep a good thought. And this is the lovely lag time of which we spoke earlier. So you will believe us that there are tips there, and we will move on.
Let's go ahead.
Yes, that's what I just said. Yes. Okay.
So now we're going to do an active listening activity, and we're going to touch upon all the goals that we just talked about in this activity. So just like in our online classrooms, in a Zoom setting, we want to get to know the people in our class, and the classmates want to get to know each other as well. So we're going to demonstrate how you might do this in a Zoom classroom. And I'm going to ask participants to first introduce themselves and then tell their affiliation. We're going to model this with just a few people first, so you'll just be seeing the model of some volunteers. So Jayme and I are going to start modeling this activity for you, and then Jayme will call on someone else. So Jayme, could you introduce yourself and then tell your affiliation?
Yes, good morning. I'm Jayme, and these days I'm working with DACE. That's pretty funny.
Ace?
I did say ACE. No, I said DACE. Okay, could we just do that again?
Yes,
that was really sloppy. Sorry, guys.
Here's our model.
Here's the model. Ignore what you just heard. Good morning. I'm Jayme, and these days I'm working with DACE.
Did you say ACE, Jayme?
No, DACE. DACE.
Oh, I know DACE. That's LAUSD.
Okie dokie.
Okay, now Jayme is going to ask, we're going to go to gallery view, and Jamie's going to ask someone else. And we're just going to do 2 or 3 of these so you see. And notice our tip is that the person who's talking, as you can see with me now, has a green line around their picture.
So everybody is hopefully in gallery view, and I'm calling on Sylvia. Will you introduce yourself to the group and tell your affiliation?
I'm Sylvia, and I'm affiliated with Miracosta College.
And Sylvia, now you get somebody to do it.
Oh, I thought, no, I just want to keep watching.
Oh, no, Sylvia, that's right. I'm sorry. There are too many things going on in my head. Okay, let's try that again, Sylvia.
Okay, take 2. My name's Sylvia, and I'm affiliated with Miracosta College.
Was that Miracosta College?
No, Miracosta, Miracosta.
Of course,
Now
Miracosta, I know where that is. Okay.
We're showing you how fun this can be. Okay, now I'm going to ask Tamara. Tamara.
And Tamara, yes, go ahead.
Tamara, will you share what your affiliation is, who you are and your affiliation?
Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tamara Olivos, and I'm affiliated with North Orange Continuing Education.
North
what?
North
Orange Continuing Education.
North Orange. Oh, that's a very good place. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Tamara, it's your turn now to pick somebody.
Okay, I'm going to pick Robin.
Be sure you're unmuted, Robin.
Yep, that was my lesson in other sessions. I do a lot of talking where nobody can hear me. Hi, I'm Robin. I'm affiliated with Santa Barbara City College, the credit program.
Santa Barbara what?
Santa Barbara City College. It's a community college in Santa Barbara.
Oh, okay.
Great. So thank you so much, volunteers. So you can see that we used a lot of, or your students used a lot of clarification activities, which are really great, as well as getting to know each other. You know, they may understand perfectly the first time, but if they don't, then you can offer clarification strategies for them to use. So Jayme, let's go back to the screen.
The slides. Yes. We have three hands raised. So
okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, so the questions were from Carmen, I think.
Okay, Carmen, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, I forgot to unmute my mic. What I wanted to ask is with the lagging, if you had opened up the document, the Google Doc, before you decided to share the screen, would that help prevent the lagging?
Yes, I had thought I had it open. That was the problem. Okay. That's when you said you're still seeing the screen. That's because I was in a moment of sheer catastrophic expectation.
So the takeaway is that to make sure you have all the documents open before you share anything.
Or if in this case, because it was on the drive, to have all the tabs open. So not just because I was in the drive, but I didn't have the tabs open. So I needed to be open in each of those.
Okay, so if it's in Google Drive, then have the tab open.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay, great. Was there another question?
Yes, I have a question.
Michelle has a question.
I actually have two questions.
Oh, you just get one, Michelle.
Well, I was trying to ask a question about the chat and it wasn't answered, and then another question came up. So I wanted to clarify the chat when you guys were back in that session, that you just, if you want to do the pairs, you put the name up and then the two of them just chat back and forth in the chat box. Is that right?
Right.
Right.
And you can't see, other people can't see a private chat. So that's all private.
Right.
So you assume that they're doing it, and that's why you want to give them a time limit so they come back to you.
They're not really listening and speaking. They're just typing. So
In this case, they were just typing. That's correct.
So what would be the, I don't know. They're just.
We were just basically trying to show you how to use a chat of communication.
Okay, great. So now, up to date, can you show us how to put on that, forgot what you call it, where you had the box around people and it was reading what they were saying?
It's actually around you right now.
Oh, okay. How do I put that on?
You don't. When the person speaks, the green should go around them. I see it's a little bit of a lag for me. It just happened. Was it Jayme and then you? That comes. We were showing you a slide, and that's how we had it in the slides. We took a screenshot of it. But if you're looking at me now, you'll see that there's a green line around me. That happens when you speak. That's a Zoom feature.
There's no green line around you. Oh, there's a green. Oh, I meant, yeah. Oh, I see your box. Your whole box is green. Right. I meant the feature where that was actually spelling out.
That wasn't a feature. That was a slide that we made.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I got you. Got you. Okay. I understand now.
So, and I apologize that the model wasn't strong, but that's really a tip. You need to show students what you're expecting them to do.
So we were reinforcing the oral activity with writing. They could
understand. Yeah,
what they needed to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's what was in the slide. So now I would like you to think about the listening strategies that I used to preview the activity and that you used as you listen. So I'm going to ask you to think about these 4 items. Did we ask you to think about why and how you would listen, predict what you would hear based on the environment? Number 3, predict what you'd hear based on prior knowledge. And or number 4, set expectations based on the organization. So I'd like you to respond in the chat, the everyone chat. And in a minute, after I give you the directions, I'm going to ask the 2 questions: which listening strategies did I preview? And B, which listening strategies did you use? So what I'd like you to tap in the chat is, in your chat, put A, and then put the numbers of the things you think I previewed, and then put B in the same chat. Which strategies did you use when you were listening to the volunteers? Or did you think they were using when they were listening to each other? And then put the numbers that you think. So you can see, so Jayme just gave an example. So if you would follow along Jayme's example, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to type in the chat. Now, everyone, please do that. Okay, so we have a fair amount of answers there. I'm not sure if everybody's had a chance to respond, and I'm not sure if it's just a lag time on the chat. But Sylvia, can you tell us which listening strategies the participants think that I use to preview in general?
We had a lot of, we saw a lot of twos. We saw a lot of twos. Sometimes we saw one, sometimes we saw threes on the listening, what you previewed. And on B, we had for the listening strategies, there was a lot of agreement about 3 and 4.
Okay. Okay, great. So I just want to mention that it's really important to call out the strategies that our listeners are using in order to help them be better listeners. So we want to actually teach those strategies, and we're going to be talking about those strategies as we go along today. One strategy that students can use, another tip would be to lean in just like they do or would do when you were in a face-to-face classroom. You might lean in, and the joke that Jayme was making earlier was that we saw Dave come in, I don't know if he had his arms out, but leaning out would try to show that perhaps you weren't listening as carefully as possible. So
Dave is a very careful listener.
Dave is a very careful listener. Even leaning back, he listens carefully for sure. But so that would also be a tip. And remember about the green line. So those are kinds of strategies we ask our students to look for as they were doing listening in this environment.
Terrific. And we're going to do a little lecture now. So you did an active listening task, which is something that is one aspect of listening instruction. And now you're going to do a note-taking task, which is another element of listening strategy and listening instruction. And I'm going to ask you to either make use of the Cornell Notes page that I sent you last night in your email, or you're welcome to just take notes on a piece of paper, but you will be comparing notes with a partner. So just be aware that there'll be some accountability there. And we thought that it would be good, rather than based on what your responses were, it would be good to not necessarily talk so much about the listening process, which most of you seem to have a good handle on, but to think about the use of integration of technology and listening instruction, technology and instruction altogether. And what I'm showing you right now is SAMR. It's a framework for thinking about the integration of technology into instruction, and certainly with online teaching, that is where we are. This was popularized by Dr. Ruben Puentedura, and its view is that there are different levels or layers or filters that we can think about as we're creating a listening lesson online, or as we're just using tools in the classroom. So what I love about this is that substitution with listening is really something, it's the easily transferred things that we already do in the classroom to the online classroom. But what happens with augmentation, modification, and redefinition is that we're moving learners' use of the tool into a realm where they're expanding their metacognition. We're really working on those 21st century skills. And Jennifer, whose last name is escaping me, Roberts, has also characterized the SAMR in a slightly different way in terms of the task. So if we think about really traditional tasks, they would fall under the substitution realm, and enhancing and providing voice and choice for our learners, and then where we actually hand off the task to the learner. And I'm going to give you very concrete examples, but I wanted you to see that SAMR is substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. And it is also a way of viewing it as more traditional teaching, enhanced teaching, voice and choice, and handoff. And let's talk about what that really means. So at the S stage, we're talking about substitution. There's no real change in the function or the purpose of what we're using in the online class or in the face-to-face class with technology. So this is an MP3 file. Would you please click on your participants, would you please click yes if you have ever used an MP3 file in your classroom for a listening test, a listening lesson? And I see I got a lot. Okay, Carolyn's saying no, but I see that a lot of people are saying yes. So Carolyn, for you, this might be an augmentation that your learners had not experienced this. But for Elisa, who's done this already in class, moving this into the online realm is just a substitution. Now we're looking at it in a platform. It's got the same scrub bar. And I think the thing to think about with substitution or a traditional, I would actually call traditional effective. Anything we've been doing that's effective in listening instruction that we can transfer to the online, why not? I mean, why would we make terrible work for ourselves? So if we already have a lot of MP3 files that we make use of in our classes, we can pop them into the Zoom or any other platform you're using, and we can scroll and do all kinds of things that help the learner listen for specific parts of the listening listening text. And I'm watching for, okay. Now, when we get to the augmentation stage, that's when we're enhancing the learner's experience. We're augmenting it. So in this case, this would be a Google Doc, and I would be giving the learner the Google Doc to work from as opposed to a worksheet. If I just emailed everybody the worksheet, that's substitution. It's just really getting them the paper by another means. But if I have them work on a Google Drive, then I have the option of giving them the link to the listening so that they could listen separately and come back to the classroom, or they could listen again and check their work. I'm also on the red circle on the right. I'm giving learners an opportunity to interact with each other to correct their work. That's an augmentation that would be harder to do in the classroom quickly. Obviously, we could exchange papers, but this is actually being able to target the comments and keep them separate from the learner's work. The M is where we start increasing the thinking skills. So we give the learners voice and choice in the task, and the tools modify the task and the lesson outcomes. They don't change the task completely, but they modify it somewhat. So let's say that our goal for the lesson, something you're going to see in a moment with Sylvia, is to use prediction strategies to enhance listening comprehension. And in my case, I'm saying use prediction strategies based on visual or environmental cues. That's the strategy I want to work on. So then I have my learners go into breakout rooms, and this is something we'll model for you later, but I have them go into breakout rooms so that they can work on a task related to that skill. And notice the great thing about Zoom is you can have up to 50 breakout rooms, and you can pop in and out of each breakout room and check on what learners are doing, which is different from private chat. So I'm going to actually take you, and the sad little story that I have to share is that I did in fact have the tab open for the tips, but it was named in such a way that I didn't recognize it. So what I just did now was rather than stop share, I new shared, and that took me right to the tab I had open, so we don't have that lag time. So notice that I've given my students 4 different links that they could go to as a team in the breakout group, and they can click on these links and they'll see a visual about what's happening in that link. Hopefully you'll see another example of that. Okay, so in this case it didn't do it, but for this way you can see that they have a link, and then they could go to these 4 links, and from the visual of the first shot in the video, they could determine whether they wanted to listen to that. So it's giving them voice and choice. Then I'm also having them take on roles for the task. This isn't something that happens as easily in a listening lesson if I'm working with the whole group. But if I've got them broken out, they can do this. And then I've given them their task right in here. So this is a step out from just having them, if we go back to the new share to here, this is a step back, a step forward from going to here. This is the classic listening task for the learner. Listen to something and tell us what you heard. But when we got to something like this, we've really modified, and it's a modification that is bringing in more voice and choice for the student. And last but not least is my favorite, redefinition. And we will be modeling this hopefully for you later. And in the redefinition, the task is redefined. So we've been listening to all these people talk about their jobs and we've been predicting based on that. Now the learners are going to make a video and write the questions for the class. And again, they would be doing that in the breakout group. So when we talk about that, when we talk about SAMR, we're really talking about how do we increase the 21st century skill development of our learners in this online setting, doing all the good and effective things that we've done so far. I don't quite know why something started loading for me, and I don't know what that's about. Okay. So now I'd like you to compare notes with your partner. It's the same partner you had before. I'm only going to give you a minute to do that as an example of what you would do with your students, all right? But we're just feeling it out. We're not really going into deep conversation. So you can see that in this chat, Lori and I are saying, Lori tells me M is for modification, but did you hear what she said about redefinition? And then I can say redefinition, and then she could continue to ask. Notice that I'm also giving my students some stems for them to use in their chat. So we're not just, at this point, you've done the listening, but now we're integrating other skills into the listening task. Okay, Michelle, you just pick anyone. Go ahead and scroll down. Why don't you could work with Sylvia. She'd be happy to work with you. Or Lori. And I'm just going to give you a minute. And Lori, if you would be so kind as to blow the whistle.
To start or to end?
To end. Lori, look at my face, if you can find me. Because I'm trying to pick up the poem. Okay, I hope that was fun. Remember that the whole aspect of teaching listening strategies is to help learners. In this case, you wanted learners to take notes on SAMR. You didn't, but if you were doing, let's say, SMART goals, and you were doing they could easily identify what the S, the M, the A, R, and the T stood for, and then they check each other's listening. Yes, Babs, we absolutely said that there would not be enough time. It was a 1-minute opportunity for you to just check in with your partner. You really would give your students much more time. We were just demonstrating. And something to be aware of is that if you give your learners different worksheets, they can listen to the same thing, but have different level tasks. So for the lowest level, you could have a checklist where they would be listening to 4 different, they listen to the S and they decide what the 4 things were. In the case of the intermediate levels, I gave you the Cornell notes. And in the case of the advanced levels, the notes would be open. So I hope that as we proceed, you'll be applying this filter in your mind. When you hear Sylvia doing the lesson, you'll be thinking about, where are we just substituting our everyday face-to-face type of listening instruction? Where are we just substituting it and making it a little technological? And where are we upping the ante by making use of the tech tools?
And we're trying to demonstrate a number of things for you today. We'd like you to then go into Zoom and explore more deeply how to use them. But we're going to be thinking about how you would use these tools in a listening lesson. So you're about to participate in a listening lesson. But first, I want to find out what kinds of things you have your students listen to. So we're going to be showing you a poll. Go ahead, Jayme.
Okay.
One more slide. We're going to be showing you a
poll. You want me to put up the slide, not the poll. Sorry, I've got the poll ready.
Sorry. So we're going to be showing you a poll that has these this question on it. Which of the following do you use to teach listening lessons? And then we're going to give you the opportunity to check all the items that you have used with your students from 1 to 6. So you've looked at these now, and now Jamie's going to put up the poll, and we're just going to give you 15 seconds to check all the ones that you use. You can check as many as you'd like.
Okay.
Okay. So stop right there, and Jamie's going to show us the results. Okay, so some of you have used all of these techniques. The highest one I see is peer-to-peer listening tasks. So that's the one that got 94%. Since all of these, you've used all of these in your classroom, face-to-face classroom, so we want to let you know that all of these can also be used in an online setting like we're doing today. So we're going to give you the opportunity to think about some of these, at least during the lesson that Sylvia is going to teach you as a demonstration. So I just want to point out that every listening lesson has 3 stages: pre-listening, while listening, and post-listening. And during those 3 stages, a number of strategies are included to help the students listen more effectively. And so Sylvia is going to demonstrate both the 3 stages and strategies you can use with your students to help them listen more effectively. You are going to participate in the demonstration, but remember, this is just a short demo that we hope you'll be able to recreate in your own classrooms. Go
and
ahead.
expand upon, yeah.
Hi, everyone. You kept saying Sylvia's going to, Sylvia's going to. I feel like I should go, woo. Okay, we're going to do a sample listening lesson. I have authentic video from Raymond, who's going to talk about his most interesting job experience. And for this lesson, just like in all your planning, my students are intermediate advanced. My listening objective is learners will be able to listen for gist and key details as speakers describe their job experiences. And the listening strategy I want to focus on is prediction listening for gist. And just like we do with our lesson planning, we go to our standards. And
do we though? Do we though?
We're going to go. And we're going to look at the English language proficiency standards, and also, thank you, the newly revised CASAS listening standards for those standards that relate to gist and key details. So I'm addressing the standards, and I'm also addressing 21st century skills and helping my learners to succeed in technology-rich environments. So I'm doing all of this with this lesson. So now, pre-listening. I'm going to ask you, you see up here a picture. I want you to, in the chat, put what job is this and what skills are required for this job. And we'll just let you start chatting in the chat box. And I'll be looking over here to see. Summer's already coming up here. And if once you've got the name of the job, because I think most of you are getting that pretty quickly, why don't you focus on what skills do you think a lifeguard needs? I saw swimming. Yes, that's a very good one. I see treading water, personal interactive skills, CPR, first aid. I love this. You, Carmen said, you always need to be calm. Fast reaction. Okay, great. So
Sylvia, could you have had them respond orally as well?
Yes, I could have. I didn't know if they were on mute still. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that's just an option, right, for the students. So they could do both. That way people get heard.
They could do both. And there was a comment in there about how busy the chat's getting. And that is one problem with the chat. You're going to, it gets busy, the private that you're doing with the regular, but that's just something we work with. So you'll want to think about oral exchanges too. Okay, so we've done this pre-listening. Now we're going to get a chance to listen to Raymond as a while listening activity. And we're going to use our listening strategy of prediction to predict what he'll be talking about. And I'm going to do a think aloud with you now and say, since we spent time looking at that picture of the lifeguard, and we spent time talking about skills a lifeguard had, I think that Raymond's going to talk about being a lifeguard. Let's listen to a short snippet of the video and see if my prediction is accurate.
Was when I was 17 and 18 years old. And that was
Louder, Jayme.
It's as loud as I could make it.
in San Clemente, California, and also
It was as loud as I can make it. Should I play it again?
Yeah, why don't you try it again?
And be sure you turn your volumes up, though. That's the thing, because you're probably muted. Put your volumes down so we don't sound so loud.
Let's try it again.
one of the most important jobs that I've ever had was when I was 17 and 18 years old, and that was a state beach lifeguard in San Clemente, California, and also in Oceanside, California City.
Okay, did you guys hear? Could you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to put mine down now because everybody is killing my eardrums.
Okay, I want a quick clarification on something in regard to sound.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, if you're playing a video on the screen, is that sound adjusted by the host, or is it adjusted on my computer because do I turn it up there? Where does
The host turns it up
by the host.
The host turns it up, but the participant can as well, because you can control the level of sound that's coming out of your computer.
Okay, so so then the whole point in muting is so that we don't hear other people's sound. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes. Basically, you're muting yourself. You're not muting the speaker.
Okay.
You've muted your ability to put sound out, not to take sound in.
Okay, I get that. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Can I interrupt for a moment?
Hi. I think sometimes the recording
You
can
need
be
to have
recorded
your
to-
computer sound shared on the host side in order for us to hear it on the participant side. At the bottom left of your screen when you are going to put out the video.
Oh. Well, I can't seem to do that. Mute, start video. With the video?
Okay, let's try it one more time and see.
Okay.
Right? Sylvia, should we try it again?
Sure.
Oh,
Or we
wait.
can try it on the next one.
Let's try it on the next one. Okay, great.
Okay. So could I have the next slide then?
Of course.
So,
Oh,
no.
we're supposed to go to the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Go to the
No,
whiteboard.
you had the right side. So
Yeah.
we're going to practice now, going back to our lesson. We're going to practice a prediction strategy again in our while listening part of it. Now we're going to listen to Raymond's entire video, and I want you to predict what he's going to say about his job. So you can call it out. I'm going to ask our volunteers maybe be ready to call out some things to us. And also you can put something in the chat and we'll try to pick it up there. So what do you think Raymond's going to say about his job as a lifeguard?
What was exciting about it?
Okay, something exciting about it.
Maybe
Good.
something challenging.
How many people he helped?
How many people he helped?
A particular event.
Particular events.
A dangerous situation that he faced.
A dangerous situation he faced. I'm not repeating all of them.
How it compares to his other jobs.
How it compares to his other jobs.
Salary.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Salary. It was salary.
Salary. That's a good thing to think of. And anything else you think Raymond's going to say? And then we're going to listen to Raymond, and then we'll come back here and confirm what they heard. Okay? So now we're going to play Raymond's entire video, I think.
Yes. And Janie had a suggestion.
Yes.
About to share audio. Okay. I'm sure I was sharing computer sound, Janie. So let me just see if there's any.
It's about no more than 3 minutes. So
yeah,
you'll hear.
So I don't know where that came from. Let me get.
Oh, and one more thing. As you listen to Raymond, on a piece of paper, I want you to note down 2 questions. The questions are where he worked and what he learned from the job. So where was he a lifeguard is question number 1, and what he learned from taking this job. So just do that in a piece of paper as you're listening to Raymond, or keep it in your head, okay?
And can I ask, is everyone seeing Raymond right now? Yes. Can I just get, yeah, okay. Yeah. There's a strange green line on my thing. I don't know what's going on. Okay.
One of the most important jobs that I've ever had was when I was 17 and 18 years old, and I was a state beach lifeguard at San Clemente, California, and also in Oceanside, California, as a city beach lifeguard. Critical skills in the physical area was to be a superior swimmer in the ocean, which is different than swimming in other waters. And to do that, I had to take a number of courses in first aids and rescue. And the other critical thing was to be always alert and to anticipate by people's bodily movements, facial expressions, if they were in trouble in the ocean. And that's a critical skill for a lifeguard. What I liked most about the job was rescuing people, because without my rescuing, they would have drowned, or they would have had more difficulty than they already had. And to bring them to the beach and have them look at me and know that they were going to live was a real uplifting emotion for me. I like to rescue people. Or I don't think I ever applied for a full-time job, but I could have had a career as a lifeguard and retired 30 or 40 years later with a nice pension. The hours were long, very long. The sun was very hot. And I remember now that I lost my sunglasses and I couldn't afford a new pair, so I went through a whole summer without sunglasses staring at the ocean. That was really difficult. But other than that, it was a very enjoyable job. I learned that you have to be present and you have to be ready to act, and you have to know your place in the whole scheme of the rescue and the rescuer and the ocean. So I learned to prioritize and to anticipate and to organize all those efforts that were needed to rescue people and have a good outcome as opposed.
Okay. That's it, to have a good outcome.
Okay. And we're going to go back to the whiteboard now in this while listening activity, and we're going to confirm, we're going to look at what you predicted, and we're going to confirm some of the things you said that he actually talked about. And at that time, I'm going to ask you to answer the 2 questions after we confirm.
Sorry, yeah, there's a little, you want to go back to the whiteboard, right?
Yeah. And while we're going back there, Nuala commented that there was such a difference when you saw his full face and it wasn't syncing correctly, that maybe students just need to see the audio. That's a decision you can make. There is that lag there. But did he talk about challenge? What are some things that you heard him talk about? Can you confirm, Jayme, what?
I heard, well, what they talked about here was he definitely talked about a particular event and the people he helped. He didn't say the number of people,
But he did, yeah.
Yeah, Lori, did you hear anything else that was
He-
on here?
He didn't talk specifically about a dangerous situation he faced, but he did talk about that people would drown if he wasn't there to help him. And that was one of the things that he thought was maybe challenging about it and important about it.
Okay. So you predicted some of the things that he would talk about. When I did this in one workshop, a lady said they predicted he'd talk about the girls that he would see, but this is my husband, so he would not have talked about lifeguard. But where did he work? Did you hear where he worked?
Yes.
In Clemente and Oceanside.
Yes, he worked in 2 places. Now the next one, what did he learn? Do you remember he taught? That was a little hard to listen for. Pardon?
He was very detailed on that. I think he was cued.
You know, that is such a good point. He was very detailed on that. In fact, he talked about specific, about 4 things: being present, ready to act, know your place in the ocean, prioritize.
Participate, right.
That would be a hard question for your students to answer like I asked you. But the point is, I could have replayed snippets of the video to help my students at that point. So it would say, what did he learn? Let's replay that part. And of course, with your students, you're going to probably want to think of multiple times to see the video. So now we'll check how your listening actually was. I'm going to ask you in gallery view, let's put up 0 to 5, how well you did on that listening activity. You can put fingers by you, or if you'd rather put it in the chat, you can put a number from 0 to 5. How accurate was your listening in response to those 2 questions? Okay, I see 5s. I see, I have to scroll through like you guys do. Oh, I see. Oh, you guys are great listeners. Oh my goodness. Okay, good.
Keep those hands up high.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a tip. You can do formative assessment in an online environment. You can make it that easy, either in your chat, like I see Marco and I'm doing, or you can do it by their face, not touching your face, but showing that way. Okay.
And Allison asked about whether we could do it in a poll, but you have to set the polls up ahead of time. So this is an immediate formative assessment that you don't have to worry about if you want to do it quickly.
Okay. So I want to tell you one other activity that's in my lesson plan as a while listening activity. And up in your Google folder, they've asked to see that link to the Google folder, and we can post.
I'll post it. I'll post it. Yeah.
Thank you. So there's 2 videos by Dave, who's Lori's husband, and Pamela Joe.
Greg?
I think you meant Greg. Dave is not married to Lori.
Oh, Greg, sorry. Greg, Lori's husband, and Pamela Joe. They're also short videos talking about their work experiences. But you see here, it's an information gap activity. So half of your students might be looking for information in chart A, and half of your students would be listening for information in chart B. And it's a listening jigsaw information gap activity. And then you could put your students, after they've filled out there, you could put your students in breakout rooms in their A-B partners, and they could confirm, they could be working together and they could confirm their answers. I heard her say, oh no, that's not exactly what I heard. So we have the information gap worksheets and the videos up in the Google folder. And thank you, Jayme, for posting that in the chat, because that's going to always be available to you. Okay. So the next slide. So you've seen me do a pre-listening activity with the picture of the lifeguard, right? And you saw me do a while listening activity, again using the prediction strategy. I used it twice in the pre-listening and in the while listening. And then I talked about another while listening activity that you can do using an information gap. So they were getting information in those two things. But let's move to post-listening. What do your students actually do with that information? And here's where we are. So at this point, we're going to have you think about a job you've had, and you're going to answer these questions. What was the job and where was it? What did you like or dislike? And what did you learn? You'll note those on a piece of paper. So you're having them reflect, and then you're having them prepare. And the tip is, Jayme, for the preparing.
Well, the question, I'm just looking, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Toshiko's question. How do you parent talk privately with a partner? At any point, you can go into a private chat. And Lori and Sylvia, if you have another feeling about that, you could certainly let us know. But when if you're talking about the breakout group, that's something we're going to show you in a little bit. We're not doing the breakout group right now, but that would be, if we do breakout groups, you're actually then, it's possible to record what you've done with, so that the teacher can see what's happened. Sylvia and Lori, I just would like to get your take on, we're going to do a little check-in with our facilitators. Would it be better for us to do this example or to ask people to try it?
They can try it. We are good on time.
Okay, perfect. So then, so you'll be, those of you that have cell phones, I don't know if you can see me, but I'm showing my cell phone right now. Those of you that have cell phones, you'll do this task, step out of the room so that we're not hearing you do it. You could also mute yourself, but you will hear us talking, so that might be annoying. And then you'll take just 5 minutes to record your video. So it's a selfie video, and then you're going to text it back to me. Let me get to the, and I'll put that information in the chat. So you can email me, or you can text it to me, whatever is easier, and then we will show it. Okay, so those, I hope you can see my information. Oops, it looks like I privately chatted to Mai. So Mai, you can tell everyone what it is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Jayme at mac.com.
Right.
Or 818-808-3990.
And that would have been a great listening opportunity for a peer dictation, right? We could have done a peer dictation.
I thought you planned that on purpose.
Yeah.
And Jayme, can I give an alternative activity? Of course, we'd like you all to do this, to try this. We think it'll be a great experience. But if for some reason you don't want to do it, we'll be here to answer questions, or you could go to the resources link that Jayme put on the chat and check that out.
Just scroll up to get it, yeah.
That's going to, for the 5 minutes.
And another alternative is you can write the answers to these questions in the chat, just the way you're going to want to give your students alternatives. One thing you may learn from your students is they are maybe a little more familiar with taking these kind of videos than some of us are. So you have lots of different things you can do during this five-minute time.
I just also want to mention that Lily has posted, and we also have a tip for VoiceThread. We're doing this as video on purpose so that it can be shared in a variety of ways, not just for listening. It also takes it up to the redefinition. But you could absolutely just do an audio thread on your text message. That's also possible, that you can record or dictate to your text. So you could text me and record your voice if you wanted to do that as well. I'm hearing interference. Is anybody else hearing interference?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
It might be people using their phones. I don't know, but
okay.
Should we break to let them? If anybody have questions about what you're going to be doing in these 5 minutes? Shall we start, Jayme?
Yeah, let's start, and then we will, why don't, those of you that are still online, put text in, right in the chat if you want to discuss during the next 5 minutes any questions, okay?
And I'll
so we
start
know,
the timer.
yeah, we're starting the timer for 5 minutes. Oh, Christine, I love that.
Oh, I do too.
I've already gotten the movie.
Oh, that's great.
Waiting to see it. My poor computer is really getting a workout right now. Thank you so much to the two of you who have posted. It's great.
Lily, that's great.
No, you're absolutely right. That's the problem, is we need a lot of memory. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. I am going to create a slide that has the stories of those of you that are writing in the chat.
That's great. And Ellen has posted something here in the chat. So that's
what I put in.
way that students can do that. That's so great.
So that's what I'm doing. See, Sylvia, can you see?
Oh, okay. I can pick that up for you if you want me to.
Well, you can't put it in the,
Oh, no, I can't. I can help you, but I can't do it.
But then see, we could feasibly have these people read aloud. These could become the text, the listenings, the spoken texts.
Here's another one from Sarah.
Great. So this does show you that it's possible to
really
copy.
Yeah.
The learners can copy from their private texts. Once they get something that they think is in good shape, they can copy their private texts and then paste them into everyone. So they could work on something together.
And you could open up a Google Doc and they could work on it together too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love these. These are great.
I think someone just came in. Hello to you.
I had to come in late at one point too. I'm sorry. I got booted because of our internet for like 10 minutes and then I came back in and I was so bummed to miss that section of the lesson, but it sounds like it was being recorded. So I'm hoping to go back and watch it, what I missed at one point.
Sorry.
So there's a question from Carmen and Allison about how I'm going to show the videos. I'm actually going to show them in my text app that's on the screen. So I'll be sharing that. But you could upload them to Google, and then that would be the way that you would show them from the Google Doc. How much more time have we got, Lori?
I think you better start.
30 seconds.
Okay, great. Okay. Let me make sure I get Marco's up here.
Oh, this is great, Marco. Thank you.
I guess I didn't copy it.
What's great about this is that people who don't have phones, if they didn't, we think most people do, could share in this way. So
Well, this also shows how you differentiate a task. So this is another way
workaround.
for people to participate and do it at what they're.
So Jayme, we have a question
about the.
You have it?
Yeah, I do. I was trying to get it. Do you understand? I'm just trying to understand. Is it the multiple windows? I don't think the student is going into multiple windows.
Right.
It's the teacher who's organizing. However, if you're talking about Google, then yes, they do have to go between the Zoom and the Google. Oh, if using Mockaroo, I see. Sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you. You can see here some of our wonderful job, what is the word I want to say?
Print.
I should have had coffee. That's what's going on here.
Here, I have some for you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, and now I'm going to share with you some of what our group has done. And I will probably do 2 or 3, I think, right? So can you all see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's hope, let me make sure that I've got that the audio is right. Okay, it says share computer sound, so we should be good.
I worked at Boston Public Schools. I taught middle school for about 3 years. I liked the students and their enthusiasm and the great diversity, but I didn't like the administration. It wasn't well run at all. I learned that without the support of the administration, no matter how great a teacher you are, that probably success will be elusive.
Oh, so how many of us are administrators?
Who that was?
Yes, I actually
Really good point.
I only have phone numbers, so I'm just trying to.
Sorry.
Will you shout out for yourself, because I was trying to find you and I don't see your picture on my screen.
Carolyn, right? No.
Carolyn. Oh, okay, great.
No, I don't see your picture either.
Okay, let's look at this one.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Barbara Van Dyken, and a job that I had when I was going to college was a job as a lid scratcher.
Are you hearing 2 voices?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Lid scratcher?
Yeah, we'll go back and get that. I just want to find out what's going on, why we're having 2 voices.
I got to know what a lid scratcher is.
Okay, well, just listen.
I produced it while you guys were talking. I didn't wait for the breakout session. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, you were supposed to just walk away or mute yourself. That's all. Okay.
So we can't play that one then.
Oh.
Don't you want to know what a lid scratcher is?
You can tell us.
Tell us.
Yes.
Tell us, Babs.
Oh, okay. So the job I had when I was going to college was as a lid scratcher at a paint company. And the lid of the paint can, I'd have to go through a whole bin of them, and I'd scratch the top. And if it was good, it went in the good bin. And if it was bad, it went in the bad bin.
That's great.
It only lasted for about 3 days. And what I learned is to be very choosy about what jobs I take.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We would be asking all kinds of questions about that.
And we could see that if a student couldn't do a video, they could do it live on the screen as well.
That's right. And
that was a good workaround because the video didn't play, and so she just called. So that's another tip, guys.
Yeah. That's, I think, yeah. So we've got this, we've got this one. Yeah, this one, and we've got Dave. So those will all go up into the Google folder for you to listen to and make use of with your students, because that gives you and then there's one of moi as well. So you could use that one.
Where are you showing these from, though, to the class right now?
Right now, as I mentioned, I'm showing him from my chat, but I have chat on my computer, so that it comes into my computer and my phone. So I'm able to show it. But if I were getting it only onto my phone, then I would email it to myself, or there are a lot of different ways I could have the students upload the video to a Google folder.
So Jayme, you're using a Mac and you're sharing your screen, right?
Yes, yes. I'm sharing my screen, but I'm sharing the app as opposed to
Right.
sharing the PowerPoint.
Right,
So-
and you're using a Mac, so that's why she has a chat feature on there, right?
Right.
So in PC, I have a PC. I think that people could email it to me and I could open it from my email.
Right. Right. And there are other tools that you could use like Facebook or YouTube, and you could be showing that as well.
And Allison suggests Flipgrid. We don't know about that technology, but if people can check that out if they know about it.
And it's being shown, I think it's being shown at today. They're one of the CATESOL sessions. So we do want to recommend that today in the afternoon, tomorrow, and Thursday, there are more classes. You know, we're focused on the listening side of things, but there's so much to explore.
And if you want to learn about breakout rooms, how to actually do it, that we're going to do in a little bit, again, there's a session on that. So yes, please go into the technicals with people who are going to show you that in other workshops.
And I just want to thank all of you for participating and then for doing in some ways this post activity. And think about, you could put your students in breakout rooms and have them work together on the project, and then they could be shown in the breakout room and shared in the main room. So there's so many wonderful things you can do with this.
And you saw what Dave said, right, Sylvia? You saw what Dave said, so that it doesn't have to happen in real time. You know,
exactly.
It can be happening outside of class, and it gives students, they could be, if they're quarantined, they could be interviewing their family members. Actually, the whole element of the video interview is very community building. Okay.
Great.
So we're going to head towards the Zoom rooms, but before we do that, before the breakout rooms, before we do that, we're going to talk about the lesson plan that Sylvia had and how we integrated technology into that. And I think Lori is taking us through that.
So just like a plan that you've used for your face-to-face lesson, we want to do the same or similar plan for this online version. And you don't need to start from scratch. You can use your plan from your face-to-face lesson and enhance it by using some online tools. That's exactly what Sylvia did. This was a lesson she used in her classroom previously, and now she's adjusted it to work online. So we've made up this key for you that you see in the slide, and Jayme's going to put this key in the chat, hopefully. And this key is for you. It's not for your students, but we just sort of wanted to give you some ideas about how you could enhance your face-to-face lesson to make it an online lesson. So we have, for example, the first one, EC, we've said is chat to everyone, and PC is chat privately. We've just made up this code. You could use any code you wanted, but we wanted to do this to be able to show you how Sylvia's lesson was enhanced. So let's look at the next slide, Jayme.
Sure.
So here we have initial planning. Again, both face-to-face and online, you need to do some initial planning. And Jayme, if you could sort of mark some of the things I'm talking about.
Thank you.
The first one is an objective. So of course, any good lesson has an objective. So we've developed this planning tool for a listening lesson. And just to mention, this whole lesson plan is in your resources, as well as a blank template so that you can use it to plan any lessons you want to. So objective is crucially important. When you're doing your listening objective, which in this case was to be able to listen for the gist and key details in a short interview, we just looked, you saw only the gist part of it here. You want to think about a listening strategy focus. So what strategy are you going to be teaching? Because as we mentioned, it's important to teach students strategies so that they can listen effectively. So you want to have a listen strategy focus, and Jayme's going to mark that right now. Thank you. You also want to think about what strategies you might be reviewing or that students might be using during the lesson, and make sure they have those skills so that they can do this lesson effectively. And you want to look also at the listening challenges. So we use native speaker videos, and so we listened to Raymond. And so Sylvia thought that perhaps some of the vocabulary he used would be a challenge for her students, or the speed at which he spoke. I don't know that you would consider Raymond having an accent, but one of the other videos that Sylvia uses in this lesson might have a slight accent. And then all of the videos often use conversational fillers, so that might be a question, and Sylvia might have been concerned about that, and that's why she checked that. So all lessons have this initial planning period. Let's move to the thank you. Before we go, I just want to mention that's already circled the red line. So we put the tech tools up here, and you can see the abbreviations we've used: EC for everyone chat, PC for private chat, and all the other things that she uses in this lesson. So we want to write that down so we know that we are using specific online tools to make this a better online lesson. Let's go to the next slide, Jayme.
Okay.
You're going to have to.
Oh, wait, I have to erase all my drawings.
I'm not going to make you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. She's going to take away all these things. But we're looking at pre-listening to start out with, and Jamie's going to remove the annotations, hopefully. Thank you.
They're gone. I did them. It just takes a little while.
Sorry. It was a lag for me. Sorry, but thank you for doing that. So in pre-listening, Sylvia had you make predictions. And she used the share screen. Of course, she shared her screen, and she had you put some things in the everyone chat so you could predict what kinds of things. I think it was, the question was, what kind of job he had, and perhaps what he might encounter. I think this may have been mislabeled, but Sylvia had you focus on listening to just a snippet of Raymond's video, and that's why it says focus on the listening strategy there. It has a VR for video recording.
Right.
Let's move to the while listening section. So in while listening,
there, yeah.
Sylvia had you listen for gist, and she shared her screen. She used the video recording. You listened to Raymond on the video recording, and then she used a whiteboard for you to first predict what he might be saying, and then to affirm what he did say. Did I miss anything, Sylvia or Jamie? Feel free to jump in.
Just the grayed out area indicates where that was the secondary task that she showed you about the listening grid, and that could have been done in breakout groups, or it could have been done in private chat, but since we didn't do it, we didn't highlight that for you.
Yes. So these are not the only possibilities. I'm just trying to call out what we actually did and you experienced, but certainly there were more possibilities here. And let's move to the post listening. So we asked you as a post listening activity to make your own video and answer 2 of the questions that Raymond answered in his video. And Sylvia shared screen, and also the video recording was your video recording. In terms of the technical, and also some of you chatted, we don't have this up here, but some of you did everyone chat to share your stories and your answers to the question on the everyone chat. Anyone else want to add anything? So and Sylvia's plan, but we didn't see, would be to discuss which job they would prefer and why. So another post activity would be to listen to everybody's video or look at the print, and then go to a breakout room and discuss which job you would prefer and why. Or you could do it on the chat. Doing it in a breakout room would allow you to do it orally, so students could listen to each other's answers. And then you could have some kind of extension activity where you combine the answers or did a ranking of which job was everybody liked the most, and then come back and share it. That would be another extension activity. That would be a listening activity. Okay.
Terrific. Sylvia, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So these are all great. We hope you see these are great ideas about videoing and developing your lesson scripts and using your smartphones and creating things, but let's get real. We only have so much time. So there is the textbook, and all the current integrated skills textbooks include listening practice. We've featured here from Online Picture Dictionary, Step Forward, and Ventures. And from these books, we've put MP3s on file, your activities and scripts. Just we happen to be authors in that series, so our publishers have allowed it just to share it. But your books have MP3 files, they have listening activities, there are scripts. Think about how you use them. And remember that this is a perfect time to work with your learners on what they really want and need. We don't have to go so sequentially. We can pull out from the resources that we have what would make a good lesson. If it's study skills that's they're struggling with, or directions or whatever, you can pull those materials out. And Jayme?
And so
most, can you go back to the tip? I forgot.
Sure.
Most of our, sorry about that. Most of our textbook series have excellent online resources. So just ask if you're not sure, just ask someone, because there's so much online for these textbooks.
And now you'll have this PowerPoint, and this is recorded, but we did just want to give you an overview. On the left-hand side, you can see, with using Zoom or any other platform really, ways to make use of your textbook. That's really at the SAMR, it's at the S and the A stage. So if you've got an ebook and you're the only one who has the ebook, that's okay, because you can share it on Zoom. You can also scan your textbook pages. A lot of our learners went home without their textbooks, or we are using class sets of things that they don't have access to. So you can use your printer to scan. And again, these are all things that if you just type in "how do I" into Google, you get a plethora of information that helps you know how to do it. Put your MP3 files in the Google folder and share, or email them out to your students. Have learners respond in chat if you don't have access to worksheets or you're working quickly. Have them check responses with a partner on a Google Doc or in private chat. And you can see that all of that is using we put our abbreviations up there for you. When you group learners in a breakout room and you put a link to the MP3 in chat, you're giving them the agency. No, there's no copyright issues for educational materials, as long as you're using it with your class. So if you make a copy of something for your class, everybody's very understanding. If you copy the whole book, then you've got copyright. I'm responding to Nuala's point.
Yes,
and then you can conduct peer-to-peer textbook listening tasks in the breakout rooms. And we're going to, as I said, put you in great breakout rooms so you get an experience of what that does for the learners. So then I just want to point out that in the same way that Sylvia said, you don't have to go sequentially, you can make use of every textbook element to move through the substitution, through the redefinition. So here's a picture from Sylvia's Ventures, Sylvia et al. Ventures. And here's a picture from the Oxford Picture Dictionary. And I know that my learners are having trouble studying at home. So that's a real life problem. We're gonna use this picture and then listen to this person talk about the struggle that they're having at home, and then discuss possible solutions. But this picture helps us with Marco's interest in vocabulary. It helps us with predicting, as Sylvia's worked with. And by the same token, my beginning level students are having a really tough time understanding my directions about how to do additional work online. So I'm going to work with them on the picture and the problem of a student learning how to go online for class. This is, if you can mine, M-I-N-E, mine your textbooks for amazing elements that you can put into, and you can be a source of the listening. The learners can be the source of the listening, as you saw with the videos, but also with their own problems. It becomes a listening lesson. And of course, reading, writing, and speaking are all part of this. So are you ready to break out? Okay, it is going to take me a moment. I am doing something that allows me to put you in groups. I'm going to put you into groups, but I'm not going to assign you. I'm just going to divvy you up automatically. And I want Sylvia and Lori to be in each of your groups.
And again, if you want to learn how to do this, Ryan is teaching it, I think tomorrow at 11, how to go to breakout groups, and he'll let you practice doing these breakout groups.
So we're going to do 3 breakout groups because that gives us 11 per group based on our participants. But once, Lori and Sylvia, once I get you into the group, I may have to move you. Okay. So we'll see, I'll see how it goes.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Isn't Jayme demonstrating great flexibility and adaptability? And
Yeah. And the breakout rooms are a great tool. I see that, you know, many of you are interested in doing it. So experience it first, get a feeling about what some of your questions are, and then go attend Ryan's session. Okay. So right now, let me just quickly, if you guys could just watch the chat for a moment and see if there are any questions while I move, make sure that I've got Sylvia in breakout 1. Oh, this is so funny. Guess what? I think they put all of us in the same breakout. Okay, so Lori, you're in breakout 3, just so you know, and I'm gonna rename that room to Lovely Lori.
And can I share now, or do I have to wait till you break out? Do you know?
I think you have to wait till we break out. I think. I wouldn't swear to it. Okay. And Sylvia, you're in Scrumptious Sylvia. Well, that's just the reason I'm demonstrating this is that you could create rooms that your learners would then be focusing on they would be focusing on a particular topic. Okay, Dave, you're going to be in Delightful Dave. That's my room really, but I will come in and visit. Okay. So I'll tell you what's going on there. All right. I'm opening all rooms. It'll take a moment to get placed in there. Don't freak out. Everybody take a deep breath. Here we go.
Okay, I'm joining mine.
Click to join when it asks you to join.
So those of you who are here and hopefully hear me, I'm not sure if you do or not, Jayme and Sylvia will be back in a minute, so just hold on.
I can't see your chat yet, but I will.
Okay. I just was asking everybody to wait for us to all get back because we have a wrap up.
Yes. And let me just share screen. Okie doke. Is Sylvia back yet?
I can chat with her.
I can also go into her chat room and into her break room and make an announcement. Her room is going to close in 7 seconds. So
okay,
they're back.
So it's great.
Hello. You're muted, Sylvia. Hold on.
Okay, we're here.
Yeah, that's great.
We had a lovely group.
We did too.
We did too.
We had one statement that I will follow up on, which is using the whiteboard and having other students contribute to the whiteboard and share screen. And that's a really good idea, and it takes practice to make it go smoothly, but it certainly is a highly interactive way. We didn't model it because we found there was a lot of lag time when we did it. Okay, so we are going to ask you to think about this question. What have you heard that you want to remember or try or learn more about? And then if you could, you can call, our volunteers can call it out, or we could also see your answers in the chat. We'll take a couple minutes for that. A minute, actually. Anybody have something that they want to remember? And you can just type it in the chat, or you can say it out loud.
I really love the video, you know, making videos for the post listening.
That's great. I love that you like that. Using screenshots, I see, to teach digital literacy. Also. Okay, I'm desperately looking for the typo on my slide that someone noticed, but we'll hope that
text it to us later.
Yes. I don't see it. All right, fix it.
So Jayme, why don't we move to
yes. Yeah. Oh, we are back together. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I went to the wrong place. Okay. How ready do you feel to tackle a listening lesson online?
I'm ready.
Oh, I love it.
I got one at 10:30 today.
Oh, go girl.
Okay, well, that's terrific. And I can see that some of you are at 3, some of you are at 5. Being at 2 is right on, okay? Because we all do need to learn more. We all do need to learn more.
And my advice is just jump in and do what you can. And, you know, if you just are lecturing and just in group, you know, everyone chat or gallery view, it'll be fine.
That's terrific. And your names, was Guadalupe asking about, clarify that one for us, Guadalupe, so that
I'll type our names. I'm not sure.
Or the reflection form?
The reflection form is coming right here. So here we go. And we'll put that link in the chat as well. Maybe.
I can type it in if you want.
I just did. I typed in the name.
Oh, okay.
I'm typing in here's the reflection form.
And do you also have a link to your Google Drive, or how are we to
The Google Drive is in the chat as well. We will send everyone the chat so you can see that, but here's the Google Drive.
You can save the chat yourself by going over to the little box with three dots and just clicking on it, and you can save the chat to your desktop. So if
Is your PowerPoint presentation in the Google Drive folder?
Yes,
it will be as soon as we wanted to get through today. So you'll also get the recording, the link to the recording as well. So we thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you. Now, do you have a form for us to fill out for the time?
That goes through the reflection. I think you click on the, wait, not the role play. Where was the reflection? Scroll up the chat, and then where it says feedback for LS, that HTTPS bit.ly feedback for LS, or also on my screen, you can see that's how Susan will handle that. We are not handling that.
Okay.
Where's the link to the
I don't
Google-
see it.
You have to scroll, you have to, okay, let me try again.
Or just send it again.
Yeah, I'm putting it up again. Hold on.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, ladies. This was a great workshop.
Yay.
You're
we're
great
glad you could be part of
participants.
We applaud you. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank
We're
you.
gonna-
So
the
much.
next one-
Could you put it in again to everyone? I'm not sure. Oh, there it is. Now it came
I
up.
did, yeah, I did.
And remember, you can.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you so
much. Okay.
We'll stay on for a few minutes, so if people have questions, because no one's coming in till 11, so we can stay for questions. But otherwise, bye-bye, everybody.
Do you want to stop the recording, Jayme, just, or do you want to go on with the recording?
I can stop the recording.
Do you mind reposting to the chat the Google Drive link, or how we're supposed to?
Yes, I'll do it right now. It's up there, and I'll just post it down low again.